Hi, this is Ms. Manning, and today's lesson is going to be about square root functions. The image you see is of a pendulum, and a pendulum you might be more familiar with is the one that you see in a grandfather clock. It's that disc or the ball that's hanging from a rod or a string, and it swings back and forth to represent the passing of time. That swing, or the period of a pendulum, is the amount of time it takes to swing back and forth, and it is a square root function. It's a function of, or it depends upon, the length of the rod. The longer the rod, the longer the period. Square root functions, just like quadratic functions, are nonlinear, and they do have a relationship with quadratic functions. They have an inverse relationship. So why don't we start by reviewing what you already know about inverses. Recall that when you find the inverse of a function, what you're doing is you're interchanging your x and your y coordinates. So if your original coordinate was a comma b, your new coordinate is b comma a. Your domain became your range, and your range became your domain. And you can see that if the original function f of x, represented by the orange line here, is mapped, its inverse is mapped, you get the blue line g of x. And its equation is x over 4 minus 1 over 4. So how do we find the inverse of a function algebraically? Graphically, it's easy. You flip-flop your domain and your range. To find the inverse of a function algebraically, first you write the original function in terms of x and y. Then you switch your x and your y coordinates, like we said, and then you have to solve for y. Let's see how we do this. The original function was y equals 4x plus 1. So I interchange x and y, and I get x equals 4y minus 1, or rather plus 1. And now we just solve for y. By using additive inverse, I get x minus 1 equals y, 4y, and I divide everything by 4. And that's how we get x over 4 minus 1/4 equals y. And this is your g of x, the inverse of f of x. By the end of this lesson, what you should be able to do is find the inverse of a quadratic function. In the warm-up, you saw how easy it is to find the inverse graphically, but what you need to be able to do is to find it algebraically. What you should also be able to do by the end of this lesson is find the domain of a square root function.